Looking around the world and he's saying, okay, this trade system is unfair to the U.S. We did set it up that way 72 years ago to build the world's middle class. We've done a very good job of that. America should be very proud of that. Yep. But he has to look out for those workers that were in the White House with him yesterday. And so he's looking at the trade situation. He's saying, let's even it up. And if you guys want exclusions, no problem, but stop the tariffs on our stuff, leaving our country to your country.
Right. And welcome back to America Talks Live. I'm your host, Miranda Khan. You just heard the president's former communications director, Anthony Scaramucci, praise the new tariffs on steel and aluminum, which the president signed officially yesterday.
And we want a lot of steel coming into our country, but we want it to be fair, and we want our workers to be protected, and we want, frankly, our companies to be protected. By contrast, we will not place any new tax on product made in the USA. So there's no tax if a product is made in the USA. You don't want to pay tax? Bring your plant to the USA. There's no tax.
The president also says that he exempted Canada and Mexico, which he was strongly urged to do, while the countries at least tried to renegotiate NAFTA.
One other thing, some of the countries that we're dealing with are great partners, great military allies, and we're going to be looking at that very strongly. The tariffs don't go effective for at least another 15 days, and we're going to see who's treating us fairly, who's not treating us fairly.
And that's where we want to welcome in our political panel. Joining me once again, we have my co-host, special co-host for the week, Jack Brewer, former NFL star and investor. Also on the set with us is Clarence McKee. He's a political commentator and contributor for Newsmax. You can always look for his articles by going to newsmax.com. We're also pleased to have with us former chairman of the Florida Association of Broadcasters, or actually you're also with that. Not that Audrea is. We're also pleased to have with us Audrea Taylor-Decker. She is the founder and president of I'm Tomorrow. She's also a conservative motivational speaker. Good to have you here. We've got a packed house today. All right, let's get right to it. Let's start with you, Clarence. Do you think the president's strategy to use these tariffs as leverage to renegotiate NAFTA, do you think that's actually going to work?
I think so. As the president said, if you don't have steel, you don't have a country. It's got to be fair. He's been saying for years, even before he was president, we have to have a fair trade deal. We get out here as the United States, bend over, and everybody takes advantage of us. So what he's doing now is saying, let's level the playing field. And it's not rigid. It's kind of flexible, as you notice. Canada is exempt. Mexico is exempt. He's going to take a long look at it. We'll see what happens in the next 15 days. So I think it's going to work out well. The big point here is job production. The steel workers, you got one plant, U.S. Steel is going to open up 500 workers.
Yeah, but they said it could take several months. We brought that up the other day.
Get the guys working. That's the key. Production and jobs. Republicans are sitting over here, as usual, afraid of their shadow, that, oh my gosh, we're going to have a trade war. It's going to wipe out all the gains from taxes. Well, if they get behind the president and work together, instead of throwing water on it, as Republicans usually do, something can happen. I think it's going to work.
All right. Well, even with Canada and Mexico being exempt for now, House Speaker Paul Ryan still argues that these tariffs need to be more focused.
You'll have a lot of unintended consequences. You'll have a lot of collateral damage, not just consumers, but businesses.
So Ryan, along with Graham, have suggested targeting China. And while it's reportedly the world's largest steel exporter, more than 50% of our steel and aluminum exports actually come from our allies in the European Union, Canada, Japan, and South Korea. So first off, Audrea, targeting China, is that really going to do much of anything since it only represents a small percentage, I believe around 2.5%? Is that really going to do anything? And second, is targeting our allies like, I don't know, South Korea, the right tactic to take, given especially our talks that we're trying to have and establish with North Korea?
Well, you know, I think President Trump is doing exactly what he campaigned on, and he's leveling the playing field for America and America companies and American workers. And he has said that he's going to look on a case-by-case basis at each country and make exceptions as necessary. Listen, we didn't elect a politician, we elected a businessman, and he's an expert negotiator. So I have no doubt that he'll come up with a good deal for each company as it's necessary.
Jack, I want to go to you. You, investment planner, wealth manager. Let's talk about the EU a little bit. So, threatening to file a complaint with the World Trade Organization saying that the president actually violated law by enacting these tariffs. We've seen what's happened in the past when it comes to these types of tariffs, which is why a lot of people, why 100 Republicans have begged the president not to do this. As an investment planner, what's your take on this?
My take is this. I mean, the EU and the European countries, they control their own tariffs. So I think, what President
Are they going to
Trump,
retaliate?
Of course they are. I mean, you're going to see a little uptick in peanut butter because we export so much there. You may see, foods like cranberries, even orange juice and things of that nature. You may see a little bump up in price, but I don't think it'll be significant enough for it to outweigh, the benefit of us reinstituting steel and putting steel back in our country. I mean, we've completely lost a sector that's that important to national security. There's no reason why we do anything to completely demolish that.
But Clarence, what would you say to people that would argue, America really isn't a goods country anymore. We're about services, and that we're not going to be able to keep up with this kind of demand. As you mentioned, that company that said, hey, we're going to open up this plant, we're going to rehire 500 people back. But even with that being done, that could take some time. Are we going to be able to keep up with demand on all those companies that rely on aluminum and steel?
You said we're not a service company in any country
No, I'm saying
anymore.
there are a lot of critics.
You know why? Look, all the jobs have gone overseas, right?
Right.
That's what's happened in the last 20, 30 years. 75,000 jobs since 1998. That's what this is all about. I don't think that people in the United States are going to want to pay, will mind paying a penny for a six-pack, $40 more for a car. Secretary Ross broke it down the other day. I think that's the way it's going to be. And for Democrats and the European Union to yell and scream, it's going to work out okay. And by the way, the president, is very flexible.
So you think we're going to win this trade war?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll get respect. $800 billion from the Chinese. We haven't gotten any respect from these countries or these other companies. And it impacts our military as well. You got one of our companies, only one in the United States, that does steel plating for the military. We got to get that back. As the president said, if you don't have steel, you don't have a country. So I think it's going to work.
All right. Well, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Audrea, I just want to get you to react to this. There are, as I mentioned, a number of Republicans who are strongly against what the president is doing. No big surprise there. They've been very vocal about it. A lot of them, including Arizona Senator Jeff Flake. Now, again, these are Republicans who plan to retire, but they plan to introduce a bill to stop the president with these tariffs. Do you think they actually stand a chance at doing that?
No, I don't think so. Again, we have a businessman, not a politician, that's in office. And so we have the political establishment, both Republicans and Democrats, who have usually advocated for the status quo. And we have someone new that's coming in to lead that's not going to do. And I think there's very little that is going to stand in his way.
Jack, do you agree? I see you nodding your head. Yeah. You think this is long overdue?
Long overdue. I mean, you take a step back and look at it and you say, why has it taken so long? I mean, you just completely let these industries die. And I think you got to praise President Trump for sticking to his guns. I've been a part of probably 5 or 6 elections, and I'm 39 years old. But, I've never seen a president. Yeah, well, thank you.
Lucky you. Huh?
He has children. He really appreciates that.
But I've never seen a president actually say something and do something so quickly. So implementing the vast majority of the policies that he ran on, the policies that went against the entire establishment. It's pretty impressive to see. I must say, as a guy, I told you before, I voted for Barack Obama twice, and I've really been blown away by this president. He's not really a Republican or a Democrat. He's Trump.
That's right. He is. Audrea, Jack, Clarence, everybody, stay right where you are. We still have a lot more to discuss. Coming up after the break, Gary Cohn is out after protesting against the president's tariffs, leaving the big question, who will replace him? Or how soon he'll come back? What? Yeah, well, the president is hinting to just that. And have you ever seen a Rubik's Cube? Come on, you remember those? Solved in less than 40 seconds. Can you do that, Clarence? Well, you're about to see it happen right after the break. Time now to take a look at some of the stories trending on Newsmax.com. The economy added more than 310,000 jobs last month. The Labor Department says that was the biggest gain in nearly 2 years, and the influx of new workers kept the unemployment rate at around 4%. Ryan Bundy will run for governor in Nevada. Bundy says he's running as a states' rights independent candidate, as he calls it. The 45-year-old was at the forefront of 2 armed confrontations between right-wing militias and the government in the past 2 years. And can you do this?
Solving in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah.
Did it.
Yeah, 0.38 seconds. That was a robot solving it. Yeah, the guy who built it said not all the cubes actually survived that experiment. Too fast, too quick. For more on these stories, visit our website, Newsmax.com. Just like you, Clarence. You're probably even faster.
I believe that.
All right, welcome back to America Talks Live. Full house today. President Trump makes a shocking prediction about his soon-to-be former economic advisor, Gary Cohn's future.
He's going to go out and make another couple of $100 million, and then he's going to maybe come back. He might come back, right?
Might come back. All right. Let's talk about then who's in line to replace him while he's gone, at least for now. President Trump tweeted he'll make a decision soon. Cohn reportedly resigned again over these tariffs that the president just signed. According to sources, everyone from seniors CNBC, easy for me to say, contributor Larry Kudlow and the president's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, Wilbur Ross, a lot of people have been thrown out. As far as Taylor Decker, thank you so much for sticking around. This is kind of a short block. So, Audrea, does this mean that Cohn's coming back? And in the meantime, who's going to replace him?
Oh, well, it's going to be interesting to wait and see, but I think the person that Trump chooses to replace this position needs to be someone that fully supports his agenda. You know, Cohen really disagreed with Trump's decision on the tariffs, which is why a lot of people say he decided to resign and step aside. But this is something that Trump campaigned on, and the people that work under him and in his administration need to be in full support of his agenda. So I think that's what he needs to keep in mind when he's considering who this replacement should be.
So I'm guessing then, if going with what Audrea said, that would mean Larry Kudlow is out, since he also opposes these tariffs. But Clarence, what do you think?
I think that Gary showed the way to do this. He was a class act. He disagreed with the president. He told him. He left. He's ready to come back. He didn't sit out there and make leaks and snipe from the sidelines. So that's good. Now, Kudlow having a different position probably won't be it, but at least this young man, Mr. Koch, will probably be back. He did it the right way, not like Scaramucci, sniping and shooting. Finally, some class acts in the White House.
He did say, but say, you say that, but Scaramucci did say, you know, he agrees with the tariffs. Just, you know, throwing it out there.
That was the tariff. Now he's the other issues, but I think he did a good job. I don't know. I'm not up on all of those guys. Kudlow, if he said he was against this, he's not going to be the person.
All right, Jack, who do you think? You're an investment guy. Come on.
I think Kudlow may actually be a person that he would consider. I don't think the president wants to surround himself just with people that agree with him. I think he likes to take in other perspectives. I just, you know, when it goes to the point where you want to step down and it's that big of an issue to you, I think that's where the issue came into play. But it's really good to say, just like you said, Clarence, it's really good to see camaraderie in the White House like that. I mean, they're celebrating the guy's departure. And, you know, it wasn't a tense situation as the media tried to put it out on a lot of outlets. And so, you know, it's really good to see positive for the country.
Yeah, and that probably might have been deliberate. Audrea, so just real quickly, you know, because the president did hint that, oh, you know, he may come back. Do you think that's going to happen?
Doesn't seem likely, but you never know. You know, Trump is dealing with people that were in the private sector, worked on Wall Street, and they're going to go make some money, as Trump said, and possibly they'll come back. But in large part, I think these people come in, they play their political role, they advise the president. He had a large time serving the president, is probably up.
Yeah, maybe he'll open up, I don't know, a steel or aluminum company. I'm just throwing it out there. All right. Audrea, Jack, Clarence, don't go away. We still have more to discuss coming up after the break. When we come back, we're going to talk more about President Trump's upcoming meeting with Kim Jong-un Yeah. Hey, this could be the first time leaders from either country actually meet face to face. But will this time, though, here's the question. Will this time be any different from when Bill Clinton thought North Korea was going to give up its nukes? Remember that? Well, we're going to jog your memory coming up right after the break.
This is a good deal for the United States. North Korea will freeze and then dismantle its nuclear program. South Korea and our other allies will be better protected. The entire world will be safer as we slow the spread of nuclear weapons.
Welcome back to America Talks Live. We wanted to take a little trip down memory lane, if you will, and show you what former President Bill Clinton had to say back in 1994 about North Korea. Clinton was talking about a nuclear deal that he signed with that country that said that the communist country would give up, you heard, give up its nuclear weapons. As we mentioned earlier in the show, the president will meet with the latest leader of that country, Kim Jong-un, in the coming months. That's supposed to be this May.
Kim pledged that North Korea will refrain from any further nuclear or missile tests. He understands that the routine joint military exercises between the Republic of Korea and the United States must continue. And he expressed his eagerness to meet President Trump as soon as possible. President Trump appreciated the briefing and said he would meet Kim Jong-un by May.
Of course, the president described the meeting as a sign of great progress. He tweeted Kim Jong-un talked about denuclearizing with the South Korean representatives, not just a freeze, also no missile testing by North Korea during this period of time. Great progress being made, but sanctions will remain until an agreement is reached. Meeting being planned. Of course, his Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, also said that they're still working out the final details. It's very important, he said, when it comes to the timing, and that these are just talks, not actual negotiations about where they're going to meet. Again, that's going to happen in May. And that's where we want to bring back our political panel. Joining us once again here on the set, my special co-host of This Week, Jack Brewer, also joining us now. One last time, we have Clarence McKee. Again, he's a political commentator and a Newsmax contributor. You can look for his articles by going to newsmax.com. We're also pleased to have with us again Audrea Taylor-Decker. She, again, is the founder and president of I'm Tomorrow. Thank you all for sticking around. So, Clarence, is this a major breakthrough or a bad idea given North Korea's history of reneging on international commitments and its failure of efforts on disarmament by previous U.S. administrations?
Your coin and expression is huge. This is a great victory. Everything that the president has been doing and saying about North Korea since the beginning of his presidency has come true. A lot of mud on a lot of faces. The point here is you have to think and say, wait a minute, what is North Korea going to want for this gentleman to go back on what his grandfather and his father have fought so hard for? Right. So the question is, what is he going to get? He think going to get out of it. Bill Clinton thought he had a deal, but you know, Mr. Trump is no Bill Clinton. He's going to have a very long, hard battle for Mr. Kim Jong-un to go to get something that is satisfactory for the United States. It's not. It's going to be difficult. It's going to take a long time, too. Yeah. But I think it's going to work.
Yeah, a lot of people have been very positive about this, even including the mainstream media, which we talked about earlier. Audrea, even with that said, there were a lot of people, obviously, given North Korea's history, are a little apprehensive that Kim Jong-un is going to be so willing to give up his nuclear arms. I mean, is that realistic to think that he's actually going to do that?
Right. I mean, shocking if he would after all this time, and what he's communicated to the world flies in opposition to what he is claiming now that he's willing to negotiate on, and not just freeze his nuclear weapon process, but actually dismantle it, which would just be incredible. But we have to remember who we're dealing with, as you said. I mean, this is a nation that has American citizens that have been held captive. They have over 100,000 people in enslavement work camps. We just dealt with getting back our own citizen, a student, Otto, not too long ago. So we do have to remember who we're negotiating with, and I think President Trump will, but this is certainly an open door, a historic moment, if you will, that President Trump does need to walk through and does need to go down this road and see if he will negotiate and if he is willing to denuclearize North Korea. But whether or not he actually will or not is something we're going to have to wait and see.
Went to the Winter Olympics in South Korea. So it's a very delicate situation, is it not, Jack?
Very delicate. And I think that's the reason why, a lot of people are positive about this right now. It's, Kim Jong-un is young. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
He's not his father and his grandfather. Right, those were older gentlemen who were more stuck in their ways, and I'm a positive guy, so I wanted to
the glass is half full,
exactly.
Right? I think we all really want that.
Yeah, we want that. I think, but the difference this time is that they're going to actually sit across each other and just talk, get to know each other. And if you look at what the reaction that President Trump has had in Asia, around Asia, I mean, when he went over to China, they were doing parades in the streets for him. And so I think, that's a very positive thing. I think his respect on the global scale with other leaders in different countries is a lot higher and more well-respected than you might think. And so I'm positive about this.
Audrea Taylor-Decker, Clarence McKee, Jack, everybody, don't go away. We're going to talk a little bit later in the show. We'll be right back.